Hi, this is James Gordon O'Toole here with the second book in the Cyberpunk 2 series. The book I'll be talking about today, Dr.Adder by K.W. Jeter. It's a really nice cover. Alright, this is from Blue Jay Books, and this was published in 1984. This is the debut novel by K.W. Jeter. I've read some of his short stories and some horror anthologies with mixed results, but this was a decent read. Like, it had some things I like with it. I felt the character Dr. Adder is this really dark, sick, twisted individual who later gets this like cool cybernetic upgrade of the Flash glove was what he's wearing on the cover, and has a lot of interesting ideas, and I like the setting of the story. However, there towards like the end of this book, it starts to get really strange and weird, and it was a little difficult at times what was going on. However, the illustrations made up for that part, so it helped explain the story better to me. Because without the illustrations, I'd be like, what the hell is going on in this story now? Like, as I said, there were things I liked with it. Some of the characters were like okay or really despicable. As I wasn't kind of sure. Okay, is there a character I'm rooting for in this story, or is everyone despicable in this like dark this dark cruel world? And from what I read, Jeter writes kind of like more like anti-hero and villain characters more than like kind of like good guy characters. So I thought, okay, something different. I'm fine with that, but the and the main. I was trying to figure out the motive of the main character. Like what like in this like the beginning of the story, I'm trying to figure out what is his motive. Like whose side is he really on and stuff. And then towards the end, it kind of explains what's going on. I thought, oh, okay. This was a different read. But I will say this is not for everyone. It is very graphic and violent at times, and it's some really like disturbing imagery in it, which I think most people wouldn't like. So this book is not for everyone. This was a decent, like, I didn't hate it. Like, it was okay. It was a decent read. It had some parts I enjoyed with some issues and other things I didn't like, and I felt what could have made it a lot better. But overall, this was a decent read. I'm looking forward to check out more books by this author. Alright, on to the book review. Plot. Set in the dark future where America has broken down into reluctantly cooperating enslaved controlled by the powerful warlords and other criminals, leaving many states lawless. Ex-government supporters try handing out leaflets to gain back public trust, but are rejected and told off by locals. People can hook themselves up to the internet called the interface. E. Allen Limit, a ex-soldier working at an egg farm in Phoenix, is leaving for LA after having enough of the place. Before leaving and collecting his belongings, he goes to check on a dying mutant chicken unable to lay any more eggs. Limit is questioned why he's leaving as he refuses to answer. After stepping off a plane, he begins walking through the shady and filthy streets of LA, but is horrified by seeing hookers with missing limbs or looking like freaks. He is greeted by an old man who tries handing him a leaflet for John Mox, a person who's strongly against Dr. Adder. Limit tells off the old man and goes searching for this Dr. Adder. Unable to find Dr. Adder, Limit spends a night at a hotel after having sex with a hooker. He then leaves and travels through the streets of LA, seeing the massive tall buildings and pyramids far off in the distance, along with vehicles driving by. Reaching a bar, he orders a drink, but is approached by a gay man, Droit, who seems to know a lot about him, but states he's a friend. Droit asks Limit a few questions about himself and his sexuality, then tells him more about LA, its rough areas like Rat Town, where criminals have snipers placed on rooftops to shoot at their enemies. Droit also explains Mofo's Motor Forces, the video church ran by John Mox, as most of the residents of LA hated, but the rest seem to follow him. Droit asks if he's looking for Dr. Adder, which Limit replies yes, but won't state why. Droit then shows him a photo of two heavily modified women, which disgusts Limit, warning him how dangerous he is. Droit then finishes his drink and leaves. Meanwhile, Dr. Adder, a twisted and cruel man who gets a kick out of modifying hookers, runaways, and anyone he feels like. He can also give any kind of sexual fantasy they want if they have the money to pay him, that is. After a slow and long day, Dr. Adder has had enough of his assistant, Pozzo, who's been annoying him. Dr. Adder drugs him, knocking him out, and removes his tongue, then gets on his motorcycle and kills Pozzo along with his boyfriend by kicking him in the gut, then running them over, leaving a bloody trail on the street. After tracking down Droid to his place, Limit convinces him to arrange a meeting with Dr. Adder. When asked what this is all about, stating he's a very busy man, Limit sets the briefcase on the table, opening it, revealing a flash glove. Originally a weapon used by the CIA until it was pulled from the service as it was deemed too destructive. Dr. Adder stares at the weapon and replies he's already got 3 on display and they don't work. Limit says this one is live, interested but wants to know where he got it from. Limit explains his father, Glass Lester, was given one of the prototypes from the development lab and was kept hidden at the egg ranch he worked at. He was contacted to give it to Dr. Adder, but won't say who the contact was. Believing this is a trap from Mox, Dr. Adder gives Droid his 44 Magnum and orders Limit out. Dr. Adder then makes a few phone calls and visits a contact to do a background check on Limit to see if his story is true. After getting all the facts, Dr. Adder contacts Limit and agrees to buy the flash glove. Limit gives Dr. Adder the flash glove and is paid. However, both Limit and Dr. Adder are nearly killed by members of John Mox's men, as Limit is saved by his ex-girlfriend Mary, who is a hooker that's strongly against Dr. Adder's work. Dr. Adder escapes after killing 2 of Mox's men in a deadly shootout and flees on his motorcycle. He goes to Bedreach, a ex-surgeon, to install the flash glove. However, he refuses to take anesthesia and has his right arm amputated. It's very painful but wants to feel it. Just as Bedreach has completed installing the flash glove, suddenly entering the operating room are Mox's men to kill Dr. Adder, but to bring him to John Mox. Bedreach offers to kill Dr. Adder himself to spare his life. Without warning, Dr. Adder activates the flash glove as it rips the men apart, tearing and crushing their limbs and splattering blood everywhere. Dr. Adder passes out from the adrenaline rush. Mary tries to convince Limit to join a group of disfigured people that wishes to terminate Dr. Adder but refuses. Then Droid shows up furious, stating Dr. Adder is dead as he won't be able to get any more information to the radio DJ KCID he supplies info to. Droid demands to know what his motive is. Limit tells him off and leaves. However, as he walks down the street, he can suddenly hear the voice of KCID telling him where to go, which leads to the sewer. Finding Droid and explain what happened, Droid believes that KCID wants him to find the visitor. Years ago, something crash-landed from space and is buried deep in the ground. Scientists went looking for it but never returned. Those who have seen it call it the visitor. However, when he asks how KCID knows where it is, Droid reveals he is unsure as he's always moving around and won't guide him. Taking a hooker with him who knows the way through the sewer system, as they travel deeper, they are chased by her ex-boyfriend who attacks them in the dark tunnel. Limit tries to fight back but is knocked out by Mary. He is later awakened by an older man with a group of others wearing wetsuits. Endpoint is part of a religious group that lives in the sewers as they offer Limit a chance to join them. Knowing he has no choice, he accepts as they travel through the sewers and into their base where they are planning to overthrow John Mox. Limit is drawn to a strange yet deadly journey leading him into the darkest and most twisted places in LA, along with discovering who really hired him to give the flash glove and is marked for death. The only person who can save him is the psychopathic Dr. Adder. Dr. Adder is a strange, surreal, yet violent novel set in the very dark future. Well detailed in places along with its cast of characters, however, there were some parts I had trouble following, but the illustrations helped explain most of the plot of the story. Well, I liked the setting, and there were a lot of interesting ideas, such as criminals controlling most cities, allowing them to do whatever they please, with others rebelling against them. Thought the flash glove was a neat weapon. Sadly, it's not featured enough in the novel, and was hoping to see Dr. Adder use it more. While the start of it is really interesting, however, towards the end of this novel it begins to get weirder and at times not make much sense of what's going on, as I felt there were a lot of interesting ideas within the story but could have been better executed, and wish the story featured more of Dr. Adder besides Limit and a few other side characters. Some of the cast I liked better than others. Overall, Dr. Adder is a decent yet strange story. Some might not like this one as it's dark, graphic, and rough in a few places. It's up to you if you want to check out Dr. Adder for yourself. That's for the review today. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, this was a decent review. Like, I didn't hate this book. I will say I felt it could have been better in places, and I just felt like my biggest problems with Dr. Adder was that I felt it was it's like too short. Like I felt like it had a lot of interesting ideas, but they were not well executed, and we don't get to see enough of these ideas fleshed out. So I just wish the book was just a little longer, so that way we could see more of these ideas fleshed out and see more of the the main antagonist, Dr. Adder, with the flash glove he's got. As I was when I see this cover, I'm like, what is that thing? What can he do with it? And when it finally reveals what this thing is in the book, I was like, ooh, I'm really curious to see what this flash glove can do. And there's like only one scene where you get to see this flash glove in action, and that's it. And I was like, kind of a little disappointed. Like, oh, I was expecting Dr. Adder to killing more people with it, and like he can do all sorts of kind of crazy wild shit with it. That's what I was hoping for, but that unfortunately didn't get a lot of that in the story. I felt the other interesting ideas I really liked was basically the criminals and lords and stuff now control most of the cities, as other areas are kind of like police states, and there's like this war going on between criminals and ex-government forces, and people are just people don't really care. They just want to do what they want to do and stuff, and they enjoy a lot of people tend to enjoy the criminal side, as they can just do whatever they please and stuff, versus living the life in the old ways and stuff. As I said earlier in the book, characters are either like them or you don't. And there was as I was reading this, I'm like, okay, is there a character I'm supposed to root for in this story? Like I was trying to figure out what is the motive with Lemon, and why is he trying to aid Dr. Adder? Like even when he was shocked and disgusted by some of the things that he's these prostitutes that Dr. Adder has heavily modified and stuff, when he disliked it, but yet he's aiding the character. So that was a bit strange. And then the novel does explain his motive, and then it reveals who sent him to give him the flash glove and why. And it's like, okay, that made sense. But towards the end, the book just started to get really weird, and I was like, where is this book going now? Like I was trying to figure out, where is this story going? Like I thought something else was going to happen, but instead it didn't, and then something else instead happened, and I was like, okay. Another interesting idea I thought I would have liked to see explained more was the Visitor, this mysterious creature that lives in the sewers, and it's only featured one part, and that's it. I was expecting more of that as well. Like this book, as I said, it gets weird. Like it starts off with this psychopathic doctor, and then it goes to a religious cult, and then aliens. I was like, aliens? Like, oh my goodness. And then even zombies later on. I was like, oh my goodness, this book is like all over the place. And the other characters we follow in the story, Limit is the kind of like the main character that the story focuses the most on, and as I said, you're not sure what his motives are until it's revealed towards the end of the story. And he was an okay character. I was questioning his actions. I thought there has to be a reason why he's doing this, and I was even suspecting maybe he needs an operation of some kind, and needs Dr. Adder to help him or something. But no, that's not it. And so it's like, okay, this is okay, an alright character, but I felt he was kind of featured a little too much in the story, and not enough of the protagonist, no, the antagonist, Dr. Adder. The other character that this novel follows is Droid, this mysterious man who collects information for the radio DJ, which is actually kind of based on Phil Dick. It's basically the author's last name, but kind of misspelt. So I found that out. I was doing some research on this book, and there's some other characters I didn't really care for that are kind of brief, that pop up in the story. I didn't really care for those characters. I thought the religious cult living in the sewers, I thought, was another interesting group of characters and stuff. I found out interestingly, K.W. Jeter wrote Dr. Adder back in the early 70s and completed in 72. However, he faced rejection from publishers, as they deemed it too graphic to publish, and others liked the book, but they couldn't publish it because of the subject matter, and he refused to like edit or change it. And he just kept on trying, and his biggest support was Philip, who liked the book and were good friends with each other. He convinced him to keep on trying, and finally, he got the book published in the 80s. It's kind of like I find it's interesting is that it kind of reminds me when John Carpenter wrote the screenplay for Escape from New York, and he wrote it back in '74, and he tried to greenlit the project, but no studio would take it as they felt it was too strange, weird, and different. And yeah, when the movie came out in the early '80s, it was this big hit. So maybe it was kind of good that it didn't come out in the '70s. Instead, it came out in the '80s. But who knows if it would have been hit back in the '70s or not. But I'm kind of curious if Dr. was published in the '70s, what the cover artwork would have been like, and what would the book have done well or not. That's something I would kind of be curious if it was actually published sooner, but who knows. Um, yeah. So overall, I this was a decent read. As I said, I just felt it was too short. I wish it was just a little longer. It's that way the author could have fleshed out more of his ideas, and we get to see more scenes of this like dark, like gritty future of LA, and see more of the antagonist Dr. Adder, and with the flash glove and what else he can do with it. As Dr. Adder would do a series of books. They don't really have a name. They're like kind of extend the same universe, but it follows like different characters and stuff, which are the Glass Hammer and Arms Death. So I want to check those books out for sure, and some other works by this author. Alright, that's it for the book review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same, and please support review fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.